Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Bonsoir, mes amis. The Montreal Canadiens have finally gotten a win for me. It's been a long stretch, folks, since I've last seen a Montreal Canadiens win and done this show. I didn't go back and look at how long it's been, but it feels like a long time. The last couple of wins, I think Kay has gotten to do, and I've just been gutting through the losses. It's felt a little bit like the 2021-2022 season, where I had to start every single episode with another Montreal Canadiens loss. But they're gutting their way through it. They had a pretty darn good effort today against the Winnipeg Jets. We have a good show for you tonight. We're going to do some trivia in, I think, the third segment, maybe. I don't think we're going to save it for OT, but I've got 5 skill-testing Habs trivia questions for y'all, and the winner will get one of these in a color of their choice. A Game Over Network toque. It's getting cold out there. It's always good to have an extra toque out there. And why not rep a really cool company like Game Over? I'm going to look through the chat here quickly before we get started. Beercat says, W's in the chat, gang. That's right, win. Piano Matt says, so do we just give Dobeš the crease for the foreseeable future? You kind of have to, right? You don't have to ride him like crazy, but I think he's got to start most of the games going forward here. Beercat, bonsoir. I'm Isako. Yo, fam, what up? Bernard Saunier, nice to see you, my friend. We have defeated the coward Mark Scheifele. I mean, kind of satisfying how bad his shootout attempt was, right? I was really hoping for a Marc Scheifele bobble in OT that set up like a goal by, I don't know, who cares? It doesn't matter. Probably Caufield because it's overtime, but unfortunately didn't happen, but he got to lose anyway. Claire, hello, Claire. How are you? Happy dance for the win. King of the North, nice to see you, my friend. Holy shit, look at this handsome fellow on my screen. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I needed that. It's been a long week so far for me, unfortunately. All right, and there's some new folks in the chat here as well. I don't know, Dronos 1987. Struble and Hudson can't play in the back line together. Too indecisive and a lot of sloppy passing. We'll talk about that. And Begins the Man says, massive win. Heck yes, it was. The Canadiens needed this. They really needed this. So, folks, if you are going to stick around for the trivia later in the broadcast, make sure to find the link in the chat on this YouTube video. You can follow that and join the trivia. Like it's started, like that you can sign up for it, but we're going to start that at the end. It's going to be 5 questions, super quick. It won't even take 5 minutes, I promise you. So join up. You can get a free toque from the Game Over Network. Pretty cool. We're working with Spark, which is a young company here in Canada trying to build community through online sports spaces, just like we're doing. And this is just a really natural fit. And it's been really fun so far. We've done a couple of different trivias. We've given away a Game Over hoodie. We're doing the trivias Wednesdays at noon, every Wednesday. That's what I'm going to be doing. And we have lots of prizes to give out, whether it's hoodies or hats, or there'll be stickers, all sorts of stuff, whatever you want. And if you want something specifically, throw it in the chat, my friends, and let me know, and I will figure it out for you. All right, let's get into it quickly. The first segment, we are going to talk about Juraj Slafkovsky more than anything else because, folks, I got to talk about Juraj Slafkovsky. I feel like we're all talking about him, but still not enough. But before we do that, the first period, as always, is presented by Inchubiju, our friends, and here is, actually, before I do the ad, tonight at midnight Eastern Time is the last time that you're going to get the Noël Noir sale available for you from Inchubiju. There's 20% off of all silver items, 15% off all gold. So go check it out, inchubiju.com. And they're an awesome partner. They're an awesome group. And I can't say enough good things about them. They're wicked. Go check them out. At the famous chateau at 4000 Rue Saint-Ambroise lies one of Montreal's coolest secrets, a glamorous Gothic jewelry store owned and run by women. Inchubiju isn't just a business. They've built a community that supports bold creativity and expression. When I was first introduced to founder Astrida Pisagomian's shop, I was floored by the detail, vision, and scale of what she's built from her own mind. I don't think anyone would call me goth, but I know an innovator when I see one. Along with building their own business, Inchubiju also hosts markets for vendors in their space called Marché Maleficarum, boosting their whole community. If you don't live in Montreal, explore inchubiju.com, where you'll find over 800 designs that range from affordable to bespoke. Check out Inchubiju right now, a Game Over partner
from the beginning.
Welcome back to Game Over Montreal. I am Andrew Berkshire, your host for this evening. And if you really like this show, make sure you subscribe and smash like on this stream because it really helps us out. We are unfortunately slaves to algorithms in the modern media landscape. So everything you can do to interact with us, it really helps us out. Dropping as many comments into the chat as possible, that helps us a lot. You know, hitting like, hitting subscribe, that helps us a lot. Pretty much everything, you know, every way that you interact with us, except for being mean, although realistically being mean also does help us out, but we prefer not. You can if you want, I guess. If that's how you want to play it, you can be as mean as you want. We'll take it. It's fine. But overall, we're going to be nice here. All right, so let's talk about Uri Slafkovsky because frankly, there's been a switch flipped in this young man, and I think you can go back to last season, halfway through the season, to where he like found his game. I mean, even 2 years ago, right? As soon as he got put on that top line, it was a big change. But this year, when Marty St. Louis decided to break up that top line and put Slav with Demidov and Kapanen, it was like something caught on fire within the chest of Uri Slafkovsky. And I think Rick Springhetti on Blue Sky Tonight put it perfectly. He said that something changed within him and he realized that he's no longer a young developing player, or at least that's not all he is. He's a full-fledged NHLer who can make things happen shift by shift. And he has been astonishingly good. On top of just like the visual puck dominance, like his possession dominance, the way that Slafkovsky fights for pucks now, the way that he is just a pain in the ass to deal with, he is becoming, and not very slowly, the prototypical example of hard to play against in the NHL. He's physical. His stick is incredible. He just does not give up on plays. If there is a chance for him to win a puck battle, he is going to fight and fight and fight. He'll squeeze around you, gain body position. There's just so many good things happening in Uri Slafkovsky's game right now that it's hard to even like keep track of it. Now, I saw there were some comments about Slafkovsky. Steven LaRusick says, what do you think of the line shakeup? Also, is Slav worth more than his stats for 14 and 13? Yes, he absolutely is. I think there's always been an obsession in hockey with point production, right? And for good reason. That's the rarest thing, is being able to produce goals. However, when goals are scored, the people who created the goal are not necessarily always credited with points, right? And we've seen this season, last season, the season before, how often Slafkovsky is the one who's creating the chaos that allows his line mates to have space and score goals. Even if he's not touching the puck himself, he's still contributing to plays. And, you know, like I always bring up Brendan Gallagher as like the prototypical example of a guy who's not going to put up points that blow the doors off, but he makes every single line he plays on better because he does all the little things that make things easier for his line mates. Slafkovsky's bringing that, and that's huge. And on top of Slafkovsky doing it, like we already know Nick Suzuki does the little things, and Cole Caufield has elevated his game defensively to a point where like he used to be a big time liability. I would let Cole Caufield kill penalties right now if I wasn't worried about injuries. Late in this game, Cole Caufield was in his own zone, checking along the boards, removing possession from Winnipeg Jets players who were bigger than him. And when he had the puck behind the goal line and had a chance to clear the zone, he had more poise than most of the defensemen on this team have had over the last several weeks. Zone exits have been a continual problem, a lot of lazy flips off the boards, but Caufield had the presence of mind to stop and do like a nice soft lob out of the zone like PK Subban used to do so often. And yes, you're still turning it over by throwing it out into the neutral zone. It's still a dump out. It's not the ideal thing, but the flip up the boards thing is such a pet peeve of mine. Every time a team does it, it's a turnover. It's like the lowest percentage success play of any possible play in this league. And coaches just think it's safe to do that. Like the turnover inside the zone is accepted. But I don't understand the obsession with going with this move because yes, it's on the boards and you have a layer of defense to keep it on the boards. Getting the puck off the boards into the middle of the ice is difficult. but you're still giving up possession inside your own zone. Get that clear. Personally, and I am totally fine if people disagree with me on this, I would prefer strategically icing the puck over the soft flip up the boards. Yes, you have a face-off in your own zone, but that's a 50-50 chance to get the puck anyway. You're creating a situation where, yeah, you might be tired, but you have a chance to get that puck and create something else out of it. Whereas when you turn it over, you're immediately on the back foot and you're in your own zone. You're already scrambling. You're probably not within structure. At least off the face-off, you have a chance, right? So I would really talk to them and say, like, guys, we got to stop the backhand flip up the boards. It doesn't work. If you're in a panic, rip it. Rip it out of the zone. Take the icing. It's fine. All right, let's check in on the chat here. Beer Cat says, Slav is a great example of not knowing how much one can lift until they pick up the heavy weight. That's a great line. That's fantastic. Slav goes in the gym and just like doesn't even think about it, racks it all up, benches it up. King of the North says, Andrew, can I get you to join Team Hamilton Bad? I don't know what that is, but let me know, and maybe we'll see. I miss Saku says, Slav got his own line. Doc for one right wing confirmed. King of the North says, also, Andrew, can you give me your look at his big ass go moment of the game? Who would I give look at his big ass go? I mean, Slav. It's got to be, right? Mr. Modern Marvel says, Monsieur Power Play, Uri Slavkovsky. Yeah, I did not expect Uri Slavkovsky to be like the power play trigger man that he's been this year, but he looks hungry out there. Like when the puck comes to him in years past, Slav has been a little bit hesitant to shoot. This year, he's just like, I'm just going to grip it and rip it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to throw it out there, try to score, do my best, and it's working for him. This is something I think the Habs in general need to get across their heads a little bit, is that sometimes it doesn't need to be the perfect shot. Slavkovsky, early in his career, because his shot was kind of like his release was slow and his shot was not that great, it seemed like he wanted to hold for the perfect shot a lot. There was a lot of double clutching in his game. Now he just rips it. And Oliver Kapanen, again, he gets the puck and he just rips it. It's like he doesn't even think, just shoot. If Ivan Demidov is going to send him the puck, he just shoots. And I think it was Brian Wild talking about it. He might have been highlighting somebody else actually, saying that Kapanen is very good at seeing, like at playing specifically with Demidov. He knows where to go. He knows that Demidov is going to take the puck to the net. He knows to get his stick free, right? Don't let people check his stick. Just have it out there, ready to smash that puck in the net. Slavkovsky's doing that on the power play. I'd like to see Kapanen get some more shots on the second wave power play. Not that they play that much, but put him in front of the net. I think he's got the ability to continue to put some pucks in the net. Ramelli says Slav is a monster this year. Yeah, he's absolutely a monster. Like he is doing everything you want a player who has that frame to do. And the points just do not tell the story at all. They don't tell the story at all. Kyle Lambert says more than Slav's shot, which is better. In his last 10 games or so, he stopped double clutching on pass receipts. Not sure if it's a skill or confidence, but it's elevated his offensive game. Yeah, honestly, I think the one thing that I want to see Slav work on, because it's like the one consistent issue with his game, is that sometimes he's a little bit impatient on like a quick give and go pass. So he'll get the puck and he sees a play developing and he throws the puck where he wants his teammate to be, but it's a little too fast and a little bit too, not messy, but like you're rushing it. So it's not precise. And there's a lot of plays like that where he goes cross ice, where it ends up going to no one and will bounce off the boards and either go out of the zone or create a turnover to the other team. That's like the one thing in his game right now that I think he needs to work on. And frankly, for his age in the NHL, to have one thing that stands out, and that's pretty much it, it's pretty damn impressive. Like he is very, very good. Trinka says the way Slav enters the zone is just like bulldozing through a bunch of guys. You're not wrong. And I like the fact that like, they can mess up on entries and they still manage to figure it out and create an entry out of it. Like they'll lose the puck and Slav just fights through it and gets the puck back. Like he is just so difficult to get off the puck these days. McDonald says totally disagree on trying to ice the puck and worse flipping along the, I don't know what you're trying to say, the oasis. Both fail more often than carrying the puck out. So many turnovers, which result in a goal as a result of either one. Yeah, I mean, carrying the puck out is definitely preferable. Boards. Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying. Flipping along the boards. Both are definitely not preferable to carryouts. Carryouts are by far better, and passing plays are definitely much better. Earlier in the season, the Canadiens were very clinical on their zone exits. They had a lot of player support. They would go up the boards, up to the half wall, and they had like a system where they'd go up to the half wall, and the guy on the half wall would just tap the puck to the middle to another skater who was just coming up through the middle, who would take the puck and skate it out. It was very, very quick, great transition. That's not really happening anymore. It could be a result of like too many injuries and there's too much flux going on. There's not as much connectedness. Like we've been talking a lot about how the Habs haven't looked connected recently, but they do need to get back to that. They really do. And yeah, of course you would prefer a carry out or a pass out over an icing. But I'm saying like when you're panicked, when you have no space, nobody's open, instead of just flipping it up the boards, throw it out the ice. If you're skilled enough, do the flip out like Caufield and don't take an icing. But I would rather an icing over a turnover in zone. Romelli says, I saw a French journalist 2 days ago complaining about Slav's play because he had less points than Nemec. First thing that came to my mind is this guy is not watching the games. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't want to dog on anyone specifically, but this is kind of a thing in media. This, like the way things work in covering sports, where there's so many games and there's so much to do, and frankly, there's not as many people employed as there needs to be to properly cover the sport. And I'm not talking about like specifically beat reporters. I know that there's like 200 people on the Habs beat or whatever. I'm talking about the infrastructure of each media company themselves. Like here right now, I'm hosting a show. I'm also running the tech for the show. I'm reading the chat to make sure that I'm communicating with you all. I've built a trivia thing for later in the show. I'm also promoting it on social media. I've planned out the show. I've got my talking points. Like there are like 4 or 5 people's jobs just to do this one show. And I'm doing this independently, but it's the same in legacy media. Layoffs have gotten to the point where like every person is doing 4 or 5 people's jobs. And because of that, you don't get analysis from most areas of legacy media. You'll get the odd, decent bit of analysis, but on a game-to-game basis, you're getting just lazy narrative. You're getting whatever is the most common thing to think from like NHL establishment based on the results of the game. If the Canadiens lose against a team that's big, oh, they're too small, right? If the Canadiens win against a team that, you know, is struggling, you'll get whatever narrative. Like there's always the easy slide into the shoe of this has already been trod before. And it's just so easy to sink into that when you're having to write 82 game recaps and manage game previews and post the lines and go to practices. Like it's not that the people who are there are terrible people or anything, but the jobs are too overloaded now and it creates shoddy work. So that's what I would say about the bad journalism that goes on in hockey. Unfortunately, unless we change the infrastructure of how we cover the games and we get more people actually employed, especially young, passionate people, it's not going to change or improve. If anything, we're going to get more AI slop. Trinka says, I was on the live post-game press on YouTube, and all the live comments were just so negative, like fire MSL, Suzuki's a bad captain, Caufield sucks. So glad we have a positive chat here. Man, it's after a win when they played well. It's crazy. I get it. Like people are frustrated right now. The Habs are not playing well in general. We'll talk about that shortly, but for now, let's take a pause on talking about the Habs of today, because I want to talk about Andrei Markov. That's how I want to start our second segment, which we're going to do a little bit more media criticism, unfortunately, because they just keep earning it. But let's switch over to the second period. While you're browsing into Bijou's goth shop, head next door and discover Montreal's most unique selfie studio. Whether you're looking to take some banger pics of your Halloween costume or cosplay, or you want to make some memories with friends, Le Saint Motel has you covered. Experience their bombastic decors that are always changing, hop in the ball pit, and take advantage of their extensive and flexible on-site lighting. Head to lesaintmotel.com to book your time in the studio, book private time where you and your friends will be the only ones allowed in, or book the space for an event. The dedicated, caring staff will make sure that you have a good time. I do have one warning for you before you book. If you have kids, they won't want to leave. Whether you're at the St. Motel or in Chibiju, tell them Game Over sent you. Welcome back to Game Over Montreal. I am Andrew Berkshire, your host for the evening. Please smash like and hit subscribe. Maybe click the reminder bell as well so you get notified when we have new videos. Really helps us out and helps us grow as a young company. Trying to create something cool here. Romelli in the chat, before we get into Andrei Markov, asks Texier opinion. And Trinka adds, so crazy they put Texier in the shootout, but I guess he did that one sexy-handed move in practice the one time. He has a good shootout record, I believe. Before tonight, he was 4 out of 6, which, you know, small sample, but he's got it. I liked him tonight a lot. I thought that the pace that he played with was really good. I was not expecting him to bring that much to the Demidov-Kapanen line. I thought they were really good together. I would like him to be a bit more selfish. I've seen a lot of like opportunities for him to take a shot, and he's like, oh, I'm going to find Demidov. And listen, good instinct overall, but sometimes you also have to shoot too. I think he could have had a goal tonight if he just was a little bit more selfish. He had a couple good opportunities. I liked him. I thought he was good. I still would like to see a bit more of Zach Bolduc, but actually that fourth line tonight, Bolduc and Davidson together, was kind of nuts. Like they were really good. All right. Andrei Markov was honored pre-game tonight by the Montreal Canadiens, and the ovation that the Bell Center gave him was, as expected, fantastic. Markov didn't quite have tears rolling down his face, but it's probably the most emotion most of us have ever seen from the guy, the general, the old Russian who just didn't seem to have many emotions outside of like anger and fatigue when he was with the Montreal Canadiens, but one of the more solid and consistent performers from like my lifetime watching the Montreal Canadiens. An extremely underrated defenseman who did everything for this Canadiens team, offensively, defensively, in transition. He was a stabilizing force for, 990 games. And unfortunately, we were robbed of him playing his 1,000th game in a Montreal Canadiens jersey by Marc Bergevin deciding to play hardball with a guy who'd given everything to this club. And then Markov ended up going to Russia, and the Canadiens ended up signing Carl Alzner to an albatross deal instead. That move was probably, like that combination of moves, probably the worst moment for Marc Bergevin in terms of how the team would fare going forward. And of course, the next season, things didn't go so well. But fact is, Andrei Markov deserved to have his number honored by the Montreal Canadiens. Whether it's about jersey retirement, I think there can be debate about that. The team's so old that it's tough to make those arguments. But man, he was an absolutely incredible player. I miss watching him play, and man, would he ever fit well on this team. I think that's the kind of player with a little bit more edge to a physicality, a little bit less offensive skill. Like the brain is not as strong as Markov, because very few players ever had as good of a hockey brain as him. But I see a lot of the same elements for the team from Noah Dobson, although not tonight. He struggled a lot tonight. Romelli says best CHD man of the last 30 years. Yeah, I think that's 100% true. I think he was by far. Suzuki now 0-14 in shootout attempts. Has he gone 14 in a row without scoring? I wonder if he just hates it. I wonder if he's got a little bit of like Evgeny Malkin and he's done. Beercat says Tex, I think, looked good, but it was pretty clear he wasn't up to speed with his line mates. Yeah, offensively, he probably can't think the game the way that Demidov can. But first game, give him a chance. Trinka respected the general, and Trinka responding to Romelli says, I didn't know what that when they put him in, so I was like, what? Lol, great record. Yeah, shootout stuff, right? Trinka also says most tired dad-coded player ever. And that was the second worst NBA move ever did in my eyes. Parjf, what was the worst? I'd love to know what you think was worse, because Bergevin had some good ones, but he had some really rough ones as well. So yeah, I really love Andrei Markov, like unabashedly. I know that off the ice, not exactly the nicest guy, but on the ice, great memories watching him in a Montreal Canadiens jersey. However, while RDS, as expected, showed Andrei Markov's whole thing, and gave Canadiens fans who didn't get a chance to afford the ticket to this game a chance to see that thankful situation and the honoring of Andrei Markov from the Montreal Canadiens and the Canadiens fans. Sportsnet, however, decided it wasn't worth showing. Instead, they just stayed in the studio and talked about a players-only meeting in Winnipeg and had Luke Gazdic go on for like a minute straight about how sometimes that's about hating the coaches and usually they're testy. And we know a players-only meeting is usually players only because they don't want the coach in there. Like, this is simple stuff. We don't need to be going in there. They ended up checking in for about 2 or 3 seconds at the end of the ceremony for Markov, but they just skipped it. And I think that's really sad, frankly. I think it shows a lack of respect for your audience to not show something like that, especially when one of those two teams is a Canadian team that you are supposed to be, serving that fan base by being a broadcaster. So that was really disappointing, and I think Sportsnet should be a little bit ashamed of themselves. Don't worry, folks. It's only like 12 more years that they're the official broadcaster of the NHL. They haven't made a profit in a single year, but they're just going to keep on doing it. Capitalism going to capitalism. Piano Matt says Bergevin was great at getting rid of beloved players. Yeah, that's true. Parr says PK was the worst one. Yeah, I mean, I feel like philosophically, trading Subban was probably the worst one. But in terms of like overall result, Weber ended up being a lot better than I expected, gutting through crazy injuries to just keep playing. And Subban's back injuries just really nuked his career, and it went downhill a lot faster than it probably should have. So they got real lucky with that one, frankly. They also got very lucky that the Nashville Predators didn't end up winning the Cup. That first year, Pekka Rinne turned into a pumpkin in the third round against Anaheim, and they barely made it in the Stanley Cup final. Because if he had been as good even half as good in rounds 3 and 4 as he was in rounds 1 and 2, Nashville Predators probably win that cup, and PK Subban has a legit shot at the Conn Smythe. That's how good he was in that playoffs. All right. Was Subban there? Did anybody see? I thought he would be there for Markov getting honored, but I guess not. King of the North says, what has Luke Gazdic done in his professional hockey career to earn a seat on Sportsnet? Just that. He had a professional hockey league career. Claire Capoletti says, it was to be expected. I watch RDS almost every game. Yeah, RDS it's the better broadcaster. They have their own issues. I think the biggest thing with RDS right now when I watch is everybody on the broadcast is an old white dude. And I think they could mix it up a little bit more. Quebec, especially Montreal, is a very multicultural city. There's tons of different people who love hockey, and just time to get younger. Not every single person on the broadcast should have gray hair. And I say that as a guy with gray in his beard and no hair. So you just got to get a little younger, a little bit different perspective. Trinka says, cancel my Sportsnet this year, too expensive, and I'm not in the Habs region, so I got maybe 2 games a month. Yeah, that's garbage. Blackouts are garbage. If we want to rant about how bad capitalism is, I'm totally in. But before we do that, let's switch over to the third segment, because why not? And that means we can get ready for trivia, folks. If you click the link that's pinned in the chat, you can join our trivia stream. I'm going to post it again quickly. Just going to switch over to the third segment here. But I am going to grab this link, throw it in the chat again. And folks, we've got 5 skill testing Habs questions. If the link doesn't work in the chat, you might have to copy the link and paste it into another window, or, grab it on your phone. But it should work. So join our little community there on Spark, and you can be part of the trivia. And if you win, you get a Habs beanie, color of your choice. Not Habs, sorry, Game Over Network beanie. Let's switch over to the trivia screen. Sorry, folks. It's a little bit slow. I'm still getting used to how everything works here. I had to put this together at the last second. All right, let's see here. Boom. All right, so now we've got it set up. You can see our chat on there, and the trivia setup is there as well. along with the prizes. And we've got a few people joining. I'm just going to let it go a little bit longer and see if anybody else wants to join. Claire says, can we do chat on the iPad and trivia on the phone? Absolutely, you can. And if you go on the trivia, the actual stream will be embedded in the trivia, so you will be able to watch it. You can click on that and close the YouTube link. You can just go straight to the trivia. You don't need to like double screen. It'll all be there for you if you want. And I went a little bit tough on the questions today, so it'll be a little bit challenging. We'll see. I'm trying to make it so that it's not super easy because I feel like that's not fun. I want it to be at least somewhat of a test for us. All right, folks. Looks like we've only got a few people joining in trivia, but let's get it going because we may as well have fun. All right, let's start trivia. Once it starts, you can also still join, but it'll go fast because there's only 15 seconds a question, all right? So I'm going to click start and say Alex Ovechkin is the active leader in goals against the Canadiens with 42. Who has the second most? A, Sidney Crosby, B, Jeff Skinner, C, Austin Matthews, or D, Steven Stamkos. Who's the biggest Habs killer, folks, outside of Ovechkin? The answer is C, Austin Matthews. We've got Tova in the lead. Claire, oh, only one person got it there. Most people chose Steven Stamkos. It is Austin Matthews, I believe, with 30. Ovechkin has 42. 42 goals against the Canadiens. And that's not even the most he has against a single team. He has more against Toronto. I think he has like 50 against the Penguins or something. Dude just scores goals. All right, next question. Brendan Gallagher is closing in on 2,500 career shots. How many players have reached that with Montreal? Is it A, 3, B, 4, C, 5, or D, 6? It is indeed 4. 40% of y'all, the majority, I guess not majority, but most of you, the most common answer was B, 4. 4 players have hit that. It's been a long time since a player has hit that. We'll say that. I think it's like Jean Beliveau, Henri Richard, and Guy Lafleur. So it's been a long time since somebody else, and there's another player in there too. I forget who the last one was. But a long time since a player hit 2,500 shots with the Canadiens. Gallagher is like 100 away or 30 away, something like that. Next question. Through 25 games this season, the Habs have had more power plays than their opponents. How many times? A, 12, B, 17, C, 8, or D, 3. Can you tell this is a little bit pointed? The answer indeed is D. Half of you got it. Only 3 games this season have the Canadiens had more power plays than their opponents. And in fact, since Martin St. Louis called out the refs, they've only had one game where they've had more power plays than their opponents. So something to keep in mind when you're frustrated about how the Canadian season has gone over the last month or so. They've been kind of getting screwed a little bit. Might not be targeted, but they're not exactly in a great situation. Tova and Claire are top 2. Catherine bringing up the third point with, bringing up third with 119 points. The faster you answer questions, the more points you get. So that's what the gap is for everybody. Let's go to question number 4 of 5. Before Nick Suzuki last season, the last Hab to score over 80 points in a season was A, Max Pacioretty, B, Alex Kovalev, C, Vincent Damphousse, or D, Pierre Turgeon. It was B, Alex Kovalev. I can't believe you guys missed that one. I thought that was a gimme. Unfortunately, it did not work out that way. Alex Kovalev had 85 points in, I believe, 07-08. So also been a while. Nick Suzuki last year with 89 was the most in a very long time. All right, the last question of Habs trivia. Tova's in the lead. Let's see if anybody can topple that lead. Claire's got the best chance here. Last question, folks. Which opponent has Brendan Gallagher scored against most often with 18 goals? A, the Buffalo Sabres, B, Boston Bruins, C, Florida Panthers, or D, Philadelphia Flyers. What do you guys think? Buffalo Sabres. Again, everyone missed on that one. Apparently, I went a little bit too tough on this one. Sorry about that, folks. But Tova is our winner. So, Tova, when this ends, you will be prompted to claim the prize. You can send an email in and it will get sent off to you. You can choose what color you want the toque to be. You can even throw it in the chat on YouTube here if you want. I'll know. I'll tell the Spark folks what color you want, but you can also just tell them. And free toque for you, my friend. We're going to be matching now. Congrats, Tova, says Claire. That's right. We should do this more often. I think it's fun. If you guys want more, let us know. All right. I'm going to go back in here and we're going to reset and set it down to our last segment of the day. Where are my overlays? Sorry, folks. There we go. There we go. And there we go. We are now in our last segment, the overtime period, where you can throw your questions out for us and I'll answer them. So any questions you have about the Montreal Canadiens, hit me up. We're probably going to close it out relatively soon here because it's late and I'm tired. It's already 11:30. Oh my God. This game was a 7:30 start and it didn't start until almost 8 o'clock. Like, absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. Hunter Dillon, another GG for Tova. And Trinka says, woo, I love trivia. Listen, trivia is fun. And we've got other stuff in the plans as well for Spark that's more than just trivia as well. We've got different games and stuff that they can build for us. One of the things that actually Zach from Game Over Toronto, his idea was to have like a heroes and goats, basically, that we could put out there at the beginning of the show and you guys can vote on it during the course of the show. And then we'll bring it back for this last segment for like discussion topics and say like, who did we think were the best players of the night, the worst players of the night? Probably not dog on the worst players too often because I don't know. I'm just in my old age. I feel like dogging on the players just kind of sucks. Sometimes when they deserve it, yes. But at the same time, I understand more about off games from players than I did as a younger person. Now, part of that's because I've been training athletically for the past 3 years. And especially in the last year or so, I've been trying to get more into not competing professionally or even amateurly, but I've been sparring more when I'm going out and training for boxing. And there are times where like a week will go by and I'm on it and I feel great and everything seems to be working out really well. And then I'll have a week or even 2 weeks where it just feels like even though I'm trying to be engaged, I can't get all the way focused the way that I know that I can at my best. And I know that that happens for professional athletes too. Like when we're talking about guys who are lacking in confidence at times, like you can't be your absolute best 82 times a year. It's just not possible. Even at a professional level, even when you're making $9 million a year, like Noah Dobson tonight. I know a lot of people were frustrated with him tonight or recently, but the money is the money. That's great and all, but human beings are not perfect. And I understand that more now. So I find it harder to dog on the players when they're having a tough time. I find it easier to dog on management and decision makers because frankly, they don't have to be physically perfect all the time. They get to sit at a desk and make decisions. And that's just a lot easier, frankly. It just is. All right. Hunter Dillon says, I've been checking those out. If the Game Over Network ever fails, I can see you mixing it up in the ring, my dude. Probably not. I'm not very good. I'll be honest. I train, I work really hard, but I'm not an athlete by any stretch of the imagination. Like I have an issue with like getting my brain and my body to connect and listen to each other well, like when I'm under pressure. And that doesn't work very well for a professional athlete. There are times where I'm like really keyed in, but like right now I've had an issue with my just straight punch, right? There are body movements that have to work in tandem with each other, but also there's like an order of operations to do things properly. And I know what the order of operations is, but things are just like not connecting the way I want them to lately. And I'm working on it, and it's tough. But yeah, it's is not a second career thing. Maybe down the line, if I keep on going, I could teach because I know like the technical stuff. I love digging in on the technical stuff, but performing it, not really my bag. I do love it, but competitively, not really. All right, there's not that much for comments tonight, and we're starting to peter out. So, Trink has got one here. I feel like this era of the Habs really kept up with the Jets physically in a way that past teams couldn't. I'm loving their grind and physical play. You know, that's a good point. There were several times tonight where I thought this is a game, the Jets specifically, where I would understand the too small complaints. But then watching Lane Hutson in this one, he is the prototypical guy who's small but doesn't play small. There were many, many instances in this game where Lane Hutson was defending along the boards in his own zone where people think that he's a weak defender, and he's like stripping the puck off of bigger players constantly. He's beaten Kyle Connor. He's beaten Mark Scheifele. He's stealing the puck off of Nino Niederreiter, Adam Lowry. Like, these are big dudes that can truck you if you're not careful. And he's so slippery and so quick that he just out battles them. And whatever Lane Hutson does to work on his balance, I want to steal that workout routine, because that kid has so much balance considering the weight disadvantage he's at almost every single time he engages in a puck battle. I don't know if I've ever seen someone so small be that strong on their feet. Like, the way he angles people and like leans in a way that keeps himself leveraged against bigger players, it's astonishing. He really, really impresses me. And Claire says, time for me to head out. Yep, I agree. I connect my head to my pillow as well. And Barbara Shepard says Cole Caufield plays huge too. Completely agree, Barbara. Man, last year in the playoffs was a inflection point for Cole Caufield. He was like a little cannonball out there. I couldn't believe some of the hits he was laying. And Trinka says his dad makes him skate with his skates untied. Yeah, hockey dads, they're special. All right, folks, that's it for me tonight. I enjoy hanging out with you as always, and I will see you not for the next one. I think Kay's going to do the next one on Saturday against the Leafs with Zach, but it might be me. You never know. Things are chaotic. We'll see you then.